listening to the WrestleHavoc Podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky Reyes. This is the WrestleHavoc Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky Reyes, right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, here to review Friday Night SmackDown from January 20th, 2023. A lot of things happened on this show, primarily, of course, involving Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. Is Sami Zayn in the doghouse? Of course, we also had the SmackDown Tag Team Titles Contenders Match Tournament that kicked off. Of course, we had 4 first-round matches on this show. 2 of them were great. The other 2 were just quick matches that realistically did not matter. But overall, it was a fine show for what it was. Again, the main thing on the show was Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, and of course Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens' contract signing for their match that they are going to be having at the Royal Rumble, which is next Saturday, January 28th of 2023, which I'm actually excited about. I am very excited for the Royal Rumble, considering the fact that, of course, this is Triple H's first Royal Rumble. And not only that, we're just, the unpredictability of the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is honestly one of my favorite pay-per-views of the entire year. Now, granted, last year's Rumble was kind of, I don't want to say disappointing, because we all knew that Brock Lesnar was going to win anyway. But if you really think about it, if you compare it to the hype with this year the hype is so much better, in my opinion. Of course, we got the return of Cody Rhodes looming. We got Raw 30 coming up this Monday, which I'm actually very excited about. We actually had a segment from Raw 30 that has changed. Originally, we were supposed to be getting the acknowledgement of Roman Reigns with the entire, well, not most at least, of the Anoa'i family coming in. But it looks like those plans have changed, according to PW Insider. It's now going to be called The Trial of Sami Zayn. Is Sami going to get his ass beat at the Royal Rumble? I will talk about that tomorrow on episode 4 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast. But very interesting stuff. Before I get on with the SmackDown review, make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc Podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the WrestleHavoc Podcast is also available on audio platforms. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to listen to the WrestleHavoc Podcast in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. Follow me on social media on Instagram and Twitter at FlaminRick0305. Follow me on both Twitter and Instagram as well. And also, when it comes to the audio forms of the podcast, I still have to upload the Raw and Dynamite reviews, and this hopefully will go along with them as well. But yeah, let's get into with the SmackDown review. Very interesting stuff that happened in the beginning of the show. The Bloodline arrive backstage, and of course they are coming out with their SUVs. They arrive to the arena, and Sami Zayn comes out doing his normal kiss-assing, as he always does, because Sami Zayn is the honorary use. Yes, he's the honorary use, and it's the best thing going in wrestling today. Sami Zayn comes along with them, and this is very interesting, and it basically sets the tone about what we're going to be seeing for the next couple of months on WWE programming on both Raw and SmackDown. Raw 30 is actually going to be very interesting when it comes to the scenario. Sami Zayn tries to fist pump Roman Reigns, but Roman refuses. That looks like Roman Reigns is absolutely pissed off about what transpired last week. Of course, what transpired last week was Sami Zayn was supposed to go one-on-one with Kevin Owens, but what happened instead was the Bloodline, that being the Usos and Solo Sikoa, interfered without Sami Zayn wanting them to interfere, because earlier in the night, Paul Heyman noted to Sami Zayn that Roman Reigns wants him to beat Kevin Owens on his own, and he wants him to solve the KO problem alone. And Sami Zayn, of course, being Sami Zayn, went forward with that promise, and it looks like he broke that promise without without the approval of both the Usos and Solo Sikoa. So, yeah, man, it looks like Sami Zayn is in the doghouse. But we kick off Sheamus and Drew McIntyre versus the Viking Raiders in the first round of the SmackDown Tag Team Titles Contenders Tournament. As I've stated last week, WWE is splitting up, most likely, the Tag Team Championships. This coming Monday on Raw 30, it's going to be the Usos versus the Judgment Day for the Raw Tag Team Championships, because a couple of weeks ago, Judgment Day won the whole Tag Team Turmoil, I don't want to necessarily say tournament, but they won Tag Team Turmoil. It was basically a whole match that lasted the entire third hour of Raw, basically just to kill time on the show, because Raw is such, I don't want to say a drag, but it really is a drag to watch, considering how long the show freaking is. But, on the SmackDown side, we have this tournament. We had 4 first-round tournaments, and now the semifinals are set, I believe, for next week. So that's going to be very interesting as well. Pretty good match between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. A lot of people are dubbing them the Banger Bros. And pretty good match overall. Am I really digging what they're doing with the Viking Raiders? To be quite honest with you, I honestly just do not care what the hell they're doing with them. Honestly, I feel like they're just there. There's nothing really special about them. That is just me personally. But yeah. So let's go through the match. A brawl breaks loose on the outside. Sheamus sends Eric onto the barricade. He goes back in the ring, and then Sheamus takes Ivar. He hits the 10 beats. After that, Eric gets sent to the apron, and he hits the 10 beats as well on Eric, but then Sheamus proceeds to pick up Eric, but then he goes up on the second rope. Eric manages to escape, and then he hits a forearm on Sheamus. Sheamus is on the apron. Ivar then goes for a crossbody on Sheamus. Once we're back from commercial break, we get a cover by Eric and Daniel. I believe that was Eric. I probably botched that later on. I kind of got confused between the two after that. Eric is in control over Sheamus, but then Sheamus fights back. We get a right hand by Eric. Both proceed to exchange shots. Ivar at this point is in control, but then Ivar tags in. Later on, Eric tags in. Sheamus and Eric exchange shots. We get a crossface, I should say, not crossfire, a crossface across the jaw of Sheamus, but then Drew makes the tag. After that, Drew goes for the shoulder tackle, followed by a belly-to-belly throw. Ivar then goes for the neck breaker, and then, or I shouldn't say the neck breaker, Drew goes for the neck breaker on Ivar, and then Drew manages to get the neck breaker on Eric after that. Drew's on, at this point, all the momentum is on Drew McIntyre at this point. Drew then takes Ivar to the corner, but then we get a back elbow by Drew. Ivar goes for the knee. Drew hits the Michinoku driver. After that, Drew runs into the corner, but then Ivar drops him. And then the Viking Raiders go for the double team attempt. Then Eric sends Drew to Ivar, and Ivar hits a clothesline on Drew McIntyre. We get a cover by Eric, who is the legal man at this point, and a near fall. Ivar then goes to the top rope, but then Drew also comes up to the top. Drew tries to suplex him, but then Eric comes in. Sheamus then enters the fray, but then Sheamus catches him up and hits the white noise. After that, Drew hits the belly-to-belly throw off the top, which looked pretty sick. Once we're back from commercial break, we get repeated back elbows by Ivar on Drew into the corner. After that, Drew gets sent into the corner and comes back and hits a clothesline. Then after that, Drew manages to hit the Future Shock DDT on Ivar. Drew sets up the Claymore kick, but then runs into a spinning kick by Ivar. After that, Sheamus tags in. Eric at this point is the legal man. Both fight it out, but then Sheamus proceeds to slam Eric down to the mat. He sets up the bro kick, but Sarah Logan is on the apron. After that, Eric then throws Sheamus to the mat. Ivar tags in. He goes to the top. He hits the splash. We get a cover by Ivar and a near fall. Sheamus then fights off both of the Viking Raiders. We get a springboard by Ivar, but then lands into a knee by Sheamus. Drew manages to hit the Claymore kick on Eric Rowan, and then Sheamus hits the bro kick on Ivar. We get a cover, and Sheamus and Drew McIntyre advance to the semifinals of the SmackDown Tag Team Title Contenders Tournament, whatever the hell they want to call it. Overall, great match between these two teams. I mean, you just had to know that Drew and Sheamus were going to win this match overall. It's pretty obvious. I believe they're going to be facing Imperium in the semifinals. I didn't take a snapshot of the brackets of the tournament, but I believe that's where they're going next. Correct me if I'm wrong. But overall, again, you just knew that Sheamus and Drew McIntyre were basically set to beat them. But I think this whole tournament is really set up for both Sheamus and Drew McIntyre because they did state that they want the Usos for the titles. And I guarantee you that they are not going to be winning those titles once that match is set in stone, considering the fact, again, the Sami Zayn storyline, its sole purpose, in my opinion, is to reunite Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in order to dethrone the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Now, if we actually look at Raw 30 and the way it's actually shaping up when it comes to the Judgment Day and the Usos, they are facing only for the Raw Tag Team titles. It makes total sense for the Usos to drop the Raw Tag Team titles. Number one, because of the fact that on TV, they've been losing some of their matches week to week. Not in back-to-back weeks, but like in most weeks, they tend to lose their matches, either if it's a one-on-one match or a tag team match in general. Or I should say not or, but number two, the Raw Tag Team titles, they just won those Raw Tag Team titles back in the summer. The Usos won the SmackDown Tag Team titles, I believe it was Money in the Bank 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. So realistically, the most important titles that the Usos have are the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. It makes total sense for the Usos to keep the SmackDown Tag Team titles and move the Raw Tag titles over to the Raw side and give it to Judgment Day. Not only that, Judgment Day is not only popular, but they're a main focus on the Raw show, so it makes total sense for them to have the tag titles. But that is just me. But I think this whole SmackDown Tag Team title contenders tournament is set up for Sheamus and Drew McIntyre to win the tournament and eventually possibly lose to the Usos. That's what I see happening. Roman Reigns is backstage. Sami Zayn comes in. And what do you know? Roman Reigns looks pissed off. So Sami Zayn, of course, is questioning what is going on. Of course, Roman Reigns at the top of the show refused to fist bump Sami Zayn. He wants to make sure everything is cool with Roman Reigns. And Roman tells Sami he saw what happened last week. And Roman wants him to tell the truth. Sami Zayn says that he was disappointed last week. He didn't know that the Usos were going to be involved. He just thought for a split second, they actually, had his back. He basically thought, shit, they really did me dirty on that. And after that, Sami Zayn was like, you know what? It's all fine. It was the past, blah, blah, blah. Roman, being the tribal chief he is, tells Sami Zayn to simply get out. He told him to get out. And Roman Reigns, I don't want to say goes on a tirade. He goes on a toned-down rant, like a small little rant. He says he's not going to do this every week. It blows his mind. The tribal chief has to run his game plan by the honorary use. When did this all start? He just tells Sami Zayn to simply get out. So it looked like Roman Reigns ain't happy whatsoever. So it's a major issue that is going on with Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. We all know that ass whooping is coming. He's gonna get his ass beat. We all know that, man. And especially this coming Monday, when he got that Raw 30 segment. I mean, all eyes are gonna be on that segment. We all know that. And it's gonna be more interesting at the Royal Rumble. Things are gonna be way more interesting at the Royal Rumble. We get an LA Knight segment. He basically rants about Bray Wyatt, talks about how he asks everyone, can somebody tell Bray what the hell is going on? 1 week he's Uncle Howdy. The next week, or I should say 1 week he says he's not Uncle Howdy, and then the next week he says he is Uncle Howdy. And then he asks him who he is, and then he basically just questions Bray Wyatt. And we get LA Knight in a squashing match. So during the match, he was wrestling a jobber. I forgot his name. My apologies. Mind games with Bray Wyatt continue. We get a clothesline by LA Knight, but then LA Knight drops him down and wins the match. After the match, what happens? The Firefly Funhouse music plays. Yes, the Firefly Funhouse is back, ladies and gentlemen. And we got a lot of crazy shit happening in the Firefly Funhouse. We have Bray Wyatt, of course, comes out, talks about how he missed everyone and he can't wait to have lots of fun with his friends. And he talks to Rambling Rabbit and talks about how, he can't wait to have lots of fun with his friends. Bray questions the naming of LA Knight, and he calls him Los Angeles Knight. He continues to talk to Rambling Rabbit, says that he should be scared of the dark, and he hopes he understands that he was the one that opened the door. and whatever comes through that door is LA Knight's problem. So, of course, this is building up for their Pitch Black match, the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. We still do not know what the rules of the match were. Now, Michael Cole constantly on commentary is stating that you only win via pinfall or submission. So my guess of the Pitch Black match is basically a CYN dark match. That is exactly what I believe this match is going to be. Now, CYN is dog shit. You don't have to watch it. You know that CYN is dog shit. But I mean, like this, the videos that I've seen last year of CYN, like they be doing these things. They would do legit dark matches. Like they would legit dim the lights and just have the wrestlers wrestle in pitch black dark. I think that's what this match is going to be. I may be wrong, but if it's called the Pitch Black match, that's what I immediately think it's going to be. All right. We got Hit Row versus Los Lothorios in the first round of the SmackDown Tag Title Contenders Tournament. This was a relatively short match. There was 4 matches in the first round for the tournament, and 2 of those matches did not last long whatsoever. Realistically, the 2 most important matches were the Viking Raiders versus Drew and Sheamus, and Imperium versus the Brawling Brutes. Those were the 2 important matches in the first round of the tournament. This wasn't one of those matches. Hit Row takes on Los Lothorios in the first round. It was a fine match, but not that long. Of course, Hit Row are now heels. Do I think that they're going to be successful as heels? Maybe. There may be some light in the end of the tunnel, but honestly, I feel like, again, Hit Row is just not the same without Swerve, so really, what's the point of Hit Row at the end of the day? Humberto starts off with Shante Adonis. Garza tags in. We get the double team by both Garza and Humberto. We get a cover by Garza into near fall. We get a drop kick by Shante Adonis. And after that, Top Dollar tags in. He throws Garza across. He goes to the outside. He goes for the overhand chop. After that, Top Dollar rips off the pants of Angel Garza, and of course, it reveals Angel Garza's trunks. After that, Humberto tags in. We get a spinning enziguri by Humberto Carrillo. After that, we got a drop kick by Humberto taking Top Dollar to the outside. We get a double tope suicida by Los Lothorios on the outside. But what happens? B-Fab gets involved, grabbing the foot of Humberto. We get a roll-up by Shante Adonis on Humberto. And Hit Row advance to the tournament, and they will now face Drew McIntyre and Sheamus in the semifinals next week. It's pretty obvious who's going to win the semifinal match at the end of the day. I don't even have to say it. But, Hit Row gets the win. We get a Cody Rhodes video package. It's the same video package that they showed on Monday night, of course. The past 3 weeks, they've been building up to Cody Rhodes' return, and I see a lot of people complaining about why WWE announced Cody Rhodes' return rather than leaving it a surprise. The reason why is because the cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows that Cody Rhodes is eventually going to be returning at the Royal Rumble. It's pretty obvious at this point. You really do not have to make it a surprise. We also know that Cody Rhodes is going to be the one that wins the Royal Rumble. I will be legitimately shocked if Cody Rhodes does not win the Royal Rumble. If Cody Rhodes does not win the Royal Rumble, I'm genuinely going to be pissed off because they spent all that time building up Cody Rhodes before he got injured only to lose the Royal Rumble. So realistically, what is the point? After that, we get a Braun Strowman backstage segment talking about the Royal Rumble. And, who really cares? After that, we get a Charlotte Flair segment. He talks about last week. And Sony says that she has a real problem with her. Maybe it was because she beat her 2 weeks ago. She doesn't have to whine to Adam Pearce. And she says, come and say to her face, woman to woman. She manages to call her out. Detroit would love to see her. Then Sonya Deville comes out. And Sonya asks does she care about this dirty, disgusting town? She does not care about them. She cares about what she wants and what she deserves. She wants a title shot. I'm not going to say opportunity because WWE loves saying opportunity over and over and over again. She doesn't think that she is worthy, and we get a bunch of "you suck" chants. She doesn't get on her high horse. Every time she comes out, she is a star. And last week, it took 6 people to rip her off of Charlotte. Then Charlotte calls her a star, but she is saying that the other women in the back aren't. After that, she says that what makes her think that she is more special than anybody else. Maybe she is not the entitled, arrogant one in this ring. She called her shot and she lost. Also, she tapped out. Maybe she should focus on the Rumble, and that's all about the title. If she wants to fight in Detroit, Sonya says no, and then, why would you do that? And then Sonya's about to leave. Then she says, unless she's willing to put the belt on the line, Adam Pearce comes out, but Sonya Deville goes for an immediate cheap shot on Charlotte Flair from behind, and that was that segment. What are my thoughts on this segment? I could care less about this whole feud that is going on with Sonya Deville and Charlotte Flair. I really can't take Sonya Deville seriously, to be quite honest with you. I just think that she's not really been an important part of the show. And again, the SmackDown Women's division is just not really that good. And it's mainly due to the booking. And that has a lot to do with the booking of Ronda Rousey. I thought her booking was absolutely atrocious. But is this going to go somewhere? Honestly, I do not know. Maybe we can get a future match. I don't know. Maybe at the Royal Rumble. I could care less, though, honestly. Roman Reigns is backstage with Paul Heyman. And Paul says that he supports Roman Reigns' vision. He tries to look things in perspective. And as his wise man, he says, isn't it better if they're about to sign the contract about Kevin Owens of all people? When it comes to Sami Zayn, maybe it's better to have him in the castle pissing out than out of the castle pissing in. Now, that is a very, very interesting line that Paul Heyman stated, because I actually saw on Twitter, somebody actually clipped it from the old Paul Heyman documentary that came out back in 2012. If you guys haven't checked out, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. Go check it out on Peacock. It's basically it's basically a whole life story of the life and career of Paul Heyman. It's a fantastic, fantastic documentary, and it still holds up. I recommend you check it out. But he basically said that exact same line from the documentary, which was absolutely great. But, of course, things are escalating. We get a Lacey Evans video package. She's getting her, third repackage. I mean, when she comes back, it's not going to be interesting, period. And I don't mean that in a personal way. I just, mean legit. Is there going to be really any focus with Lacey Evans? No, there's not. We got the Brawling Brutes versus Imperium, that being Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, in the first round of the Tag Team Title Contenders Tournament. Great match overall. Again, I've stated at the top of the review, the two important matches in all four semifinal matches were the Brawling Brutes versus Imperium and Drew McIntyre and Sheamus versus the Raiders. This match was fantastic. Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser looked absolutely great. The Brawling Brutes, I remember when I believe Vince was still in charge and they were doing the whole thing with the Brawling Brutes. I was not into them at all. But ever since Triple H took over, and right after that Clash at the Castle match that Sheamus had with Gunther, I have become a legit fan of the Brawling Brutes. They've been absolutely amazing. And even though Butch is still, Butch, Triple H has added that old Pete Dunne flavor into Butch, and that's what I like about this whole thing. Triple H has really brought more of the Pete Dunne into the Butch character, which I absolutely like. Because under Vince McMahon, Butch was just randomly attacking people from out of nowhere, which was very cringeworthy, in my opinion. But it is what it is. But now Butch is much better than he's better than he ever was. I still think they should still name him Pete Dunne, but whatever. Overall, great match. Holland and Giovanni Vinci start. Both lock up. We get a side headlock by Vinci. We get a chop by Vinci, followed by a hip toss. Butch then tags in. We get a double team by the Brutes, but then Kaiser tags in. He drops down Butch to the mat, and then he stomps on the head of Butch. Butch then later stomps onto the elbow of Kaiser, but then Giovanni Vinci tags in. Then we get a springboard crossbody by Giovanni Vinci. Holland then gets taken to the outside. Once we're back from commercial break, Butch then tags Ridge Holland. We got a couple of clotheslines by Holland on Ludwig Kaiser. He proceeds to pick up Kaiser and then drops him into the corner. We get repeated clotheslines into the corner, followed by a running power slam. After that, he picks up both members of Imperium. He drops them down, followed by a moonsault on the outside by Butch, which looked sick. We get a double team on Ludwig Kaiser, but then Butch goes to the top. Then he lands on his feet. Kaiser then goes for the roll-up, and we get a near fall. Butch then applies the ankle lock on Kaiser, but then Butch applies the armbar. Kaiser then tags in. We get a springboard moonsault onto the back of the neck of Butch. We get a cover into near fall after that. Imperium, at this point, tries to go for the Imperial Bomb, but then Ridge Holland interferes after that. Butch goes for a roll-up on Giovanni Vinci, but then we get a cover into near fall. We get a couple of chops by Pete Dunne after that. We get an overhand chop by Giovanni Vinci. Butch goes to the top, and then he hits the Tornado DDT on Vinci. Ridge Holland then tags in. Vinci lands the headbutt lands into a headbutt, I should say, by Ridge Holland, followed by a double underhook suplex. Butch then goes to the top. Giovanni Vinci goes for the Enziguri. Then he boots Vinci. We get a kick to the back of Butch by Kaiser, but then Vinci hits the brainbuster on Butch on the outside, which looked absolutely painful. Every time when a wrestler does a brainbuster on the outside, that's just it's crazy to watch. Then Imperium, both Vinci and Kaiser, go back in the ring and hit the Imperial Bomb, and we get a cover, and Imperium wins the match and advances to the semifinals of the tournament. Great match overall. Makes total sense that Imperium wins this match because I don't think they're going to be doing Sheamus and Drew McIntyre versus Holland and Butch because of the fact that, number one, Sheamus is aligned with Butch and Holland, so it really realistically wouldn't make any sense at all. But great match. I dug it. And Imperium, I believe they're going to be wrestling Legado del Fantasma. So that's going to be a great match. And I believe, my guess is the finals is going to be Imperium versus Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, which is going to be a fantastic match in and of itself. After that, Sami Zayn is backstage with Paulie Dangerously, the wise man, special counsel, Paul Heyman. Heyman says that his tribal chief would like to see him. Shit's getting interesting. Shayna Baszler backstage talking about the Royal Rumble. They've been doing these. I still do not like when they do this. I mean, I get it. It's for the Royal Rumble, but like they have random wrestlers like do these cringe-worthy backstage interviews just talking about the Royal Rumble. I do not like that. It just, I don't know. It's very cringe to watch. Like guys like Braun Strowman, Raquel Rodriguez, Shayna Baszler. I'm not really that big of a fan of that. Those types of promos, but it is what it is. We get a video package on the 30th anniversary of Raw, which was a great video package, and I'm absolutely very, very, very excited for the show. It's very rarely where I'm actually excited for these types of reunion shows, but of course, since this is the 30th anniversary of Raw, damn, Raw is 30 years old. It's going to be a great episode in my opinion, and hopefully it's not going to be a drag like a normal episode of Raw is going to be. We got a video package on Karrion Kross. Talks about his match with Rey Mysterio. I believe he's going to be wrestling Rey Mysterio next week on SmackDown. Correct me if I'm wrong. Rey cannot figure out if he wants to be a family man or he wants to be the greatest of all time. In the business, or I should say, in this business, you cannot be both. After that, talks about how they're basically going to take him out, and he's going to take all other 29 men in the Royal Rumble match, basically confirming he's going to be in the match. And he says that time is running out for everyone. TikTok. Karrion Kross is going to be in the Royal Rumble. Is he going to win? No, he's not. We got Legado del Fantasma versus the Maximum Male Models in the first round. I'm not even going to go through this match because what's the point of me going through this match? I mean, you already know who won. You honestly think that the Maximum Male Models is going to be winning heading to the semifinals? No, absolutely not. So Legado del Fantasma won the match. It was a short match. Nobody cared. Whatever. They advance, and they're probably going to lose, and they're probably going to lose to Imperium. It makes total sense for Imperium to beat them. Do I think that they should do more with Legado del Fantasma? Yeah, and I think that they will do more with Legado, just not now. But they're going to be facing Imperium in the semifinals, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're going to lose to Imperium. It was a short match. Nobody cared about that match. Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn are backstage. Roman Reigns basically tells him that he puts people in place, and the wise man, that being Paul Heyman, counsels his own anger and talks about how he wasn't hearing right. He just wanted clear communication. He tells Sami that he is a perfectionist, just like him, and he thinks all about the little details. And Sami Zayn agrees, and sometimes he expects the same amount of love and loyalty. And then Sami puts him over, basically kisses Roman Reigns' ass. Sami's in that he will always put what's best for the bloodline first, and whatever he wants him to do, he will do it. And Roman wants everything done. He tells him to get the Usos, set up the SUVs, and fire up the jet. And Sami Zayn offers Roman Reigns a fist bump, and Roman says that he owes him one, and he manages to fist bump Sami. So it looks like Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn are on good terms once again, and that didn't look like that's going to be the case right after that final segment, which is, of course, the contract signing between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. So, yeah, man, let's talk about this contract signing. It was a relatively short contract signing. Usually contract signings would take probably maybe roughly around 10 minutes. This was like at least 5 minutes. Like, this started at least at like 5:54. Like, I don't even think that's including Roman Reigns' entrance. And Roman Reigns' entrance is like at least 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes in and of itself. But, yeah, man, what are my thoughts on this? For the time that they had, it was pretty good. It was pretty good, in my opinion. KO and Roman Reigns, of course. Roman Reigns comes out first, and he sits in his chair, sitting very comfortably, like the tribal chief always does. And what happens is, I believe Kevin Owens' music hit, and what happens is Kevin Owens comes out from behind and attacks Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa actually came along with Roman Reigns. The Usos did not come out with Roman Reigns, but Kevin Owens comes out from behind and attacks Solo, and then he attacks Roman Reigns. And then the Usos finally come out, and then Kevin Owens alone takes out the Usos, and then he hits the pump-up powerbomb on Roman Reigns through the table. And then after that, KO grabs the contract, and what happens? He signs the contract, and then what happens after that? Sami Zayn comes in, and he's on the apron. What happens after that? Kevin Owens has the contract and throws it to Sami Zayn. Now, keep in mind, Sami Zayn wasn't in time before, it wasn't in time when Kevin Owens went in to attack everybody of the bloodline. And the Usos came first. Sami Zayn did not come out with the Usos, which is very, very, very interesting. And what happens after that is Sami Zayn comes in, gives him the contract, and then Kevin Owens runs off to the crowd, and the show ends. Overall thoughts on this segment. For the amount of time that WWE had, I believe that this segment was pretty good. And I think that the feud that is going on between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens has been fantastic. Not only that, if you really think about it, Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns are not capable of having a bad match. They are very capable of having a fantastic match. That's how good these two men are. And I think that Roman, from a kayfabe perspective, he's definitely going to get his hands full. But, of course, is Kevin Owens going to win the Undisputed title? No, he's not. But, of course, we have the trial of Sami Zayn this coming Monday at the Raw is 30th anniversary celebration episode, which is going to be very, very, very interesting, considering the fact that, again, I state this every week on the SmackDown review. I state this every week. The reason why this storyline is so good is that it keeps you invested in what the fuck you are watching. That is the important stuff. Storytelling is very important, and when it comes to WWE, they love telling their own stories, and this is it. And, we do not know if Sami's gonna get his ass kicked, but it sure looks like he will. Especially the graphic that they put up, which I don't have right in front of me, but they did put up a funny-ass graphic, which they basically showed the Raw is 30 logo, which is basically the old Raw's War logo, the bloodline on the top, and Sami Zayn like dead on in the center. So they replaced that ceremony of Roman Reigns into a trial of Sami Zayn. Very, very, very interesting shit that they are going to be doing this Monday. And honestly, I haven't said this about Raw for months, but Raw is actually looking to be a must-see show this coming Monday. So I'm very, very, very interested to see what they are going to be doing in a couple of days, that being 2 days. Of course, Raw, the 30th anniversary show, is also going to be the go-home show before the Royal Rumble. But yeah, that was my SmackDown review from January 20th, 2023. I'm about to say 2022. The thing is, man, literally, if you look at my previous couple of videos, the text scroll, it still says 2022. I'm still stuck in 2022, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, that was my SmackDown review from January 20th, 2023. Overall thoughts on the show, pretty fine show overall. Really, the 2 semifinal matches that I named were important, and the contract signing was really the main focus on the show. Everything else on the show just kind of like fell through the wayside. Usually, as always, when it comes to the show, but that doesn't mean SmackDown is bad. SmackDown is actually a pretty good show in most weeks. Raw is really the problem, and Raw is where they really need to do the most work. But overall, this show is pretty good in and of itself, and things are looking very interested as we head on to the Royal Rumble, of course, in which it kicks off the road to the biggest show of the year, WrestleMania. So, yeah, that was my SmackDown review from January 20th, 2023. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast. Follow me on social media at FlaminRank0305 on Instagram and Twitter. The links will be in the description below. And as always, it is Flamin' Rick from the WrestleHavoc Podcast, signing out.